colleagues, it feels great to be back to the city of Budapest and to attend this very unique conference. And of course, I would like to thank to the Central Eastern Academy, Central European Academy for giving us this opportunity. Obviously, the presentation I am about to present addresses an extremely wide topic. I divided it into three segments. First, I will address state and national symbols, and I will do it together, joint. You will see why later on. Then I will address symbols of national communities, and I will conclude my presentation with symbols of religious communities. Due to the time limitation, it is possible that I will just conclude my presentation after this first segment, but I hope not. I will follow the research concept which was presented earlier today by our group leader, meaning that I will first address relevant provisions in constitutional, administrative, criminal, minor offense and civil law. I will also address constitutional courts decisions and case law of the courts of general jurisdiction. And I would also like to shed some light on disagreements about and conflicting views on the current occurrence and legal regulation of the Slovenian state symbols. And if time will allows me, I would also like to briefly address examples of public expression of political views by interfering with the physical integrity of state and national symbols. We don't have very many cases like this, like in Poland, as we see earlier today, but we do have some of them. For those who are maybe interested in a more detailed analysis, you are kindly invited to read my book chapter. So I will begin with legal protection of state and national symbols. On this slide, you can see the images of the coat of arms and the flag of the Republic of Slovenia and the wording or the text of the national anthem of the Republic of Slovenia, which has the title A Toast. All these three symbols are determined by the Constitution as state symbols, but they also serve as the most important national symbols. And on the bottom right side, you can see the flag of the Slovenian nation, also called the Slovenian national flag, which has the status of Slovenian national symbols. And interestingly, it is not mentioned in the Constitution, which was already stressed by our group leader in his presentation earlier today. I think it has some sense to draw your attention also to the fact that sometimes national symbols and identity symbols are confused or mixed. On these pictures you can see Mount Triglav, Lake Bled, Piran, caves, Postojna caves and so on. Well, in the lay discourse, these attractions sometimes are referred to as national symbols, which are not actually, because they are not determined as national symbols by law, including the Prince's Stone, which you can see on the picture on the right. In my book chapter, there is an extensive section on the historic background. Here I can only give you a couple of dates and events. Due to the lack of time, of course. Well, European Spring of Nations back in 1848 is considered to be the advent of the first unofficial Slovenian flag of the Slovenian nation. It was created within the Habsburg monarchy, but it was also called Slovenian national flag, but it was never legally recognized as state symbol. It was legally recognized as national symbol by the current law on the state and national symbols, but not as a state symbol. But it was a basis for the current flag of the Republic of Slovenia, which was introduced by an amendment to the Constitution of 1974, one day before the declaration of independence of the Republic of Slovenia. And with the same amendment also the national coat of arms was fixed, while the anthem of the Republic of Slovenia, Zdravljica, or a toast in English, was introduced by an earlier amendment also to the Constitution of 1974. What is crucial here is actually the fact that all three state symbols and most important national symbols were already introduced before the Declaration of Independence of Slovenia, which the reason for this is or was that their adoption was considered as one of the many symbolic acts which led the process of creating an independent sovereign Republic of Slovenia. But on the other hand, they are still a matter of great controversy, because critics say that they carry this burden of socialist legacy. And maybe just to go a little bit deeper to this issue, for instance, regarding the flag of the Republic of Slovenia, critics say that it's too much like a Slovak or a Russian flag. And regarding the anthem, the problem is that the official anthem is according to the law, but not according to the constitution, the 7th stanza of Zdravljica, of Toast. Constitution only says that Toast, Zdravljica, is the anthem. But the law said that it's the 7th stanza, and the 7th stanza doesn't mention Slovenian nation, Slovenians, and so on. It's very much internationally oriented, and the critics from the right side, I would say, of the political and professional spectrum, they claim that it's also a legacy of socialism. Regarding constitutional regulation, I would just say that constitution, which was adopted 6 months after the Declaration of Independence in December in 1991, just confirmed the three state symbols. It also contains a short description of the coat of arms and the flag, and determines that the national anthem is Zdravljica, but not the 7th stanza. And it also stipulates that the use of the coat of arms and the flag and the national anthem shall be provided by the law. Interestingly, and for some strange reason, in the constitution there is no reference to the Slovenian national flag, which I mentioned before. It is regulated by the statutory law. And speaking of statutory law, I would just like to emphasize that crucial legal provisions explicitly related to state and national symbols can be found in Act regulating. It has a long name. I will make it shorter. It's an Act regulating Slovenian state and national symbols, but some provisions can also be found which directly refer to national and state symbols in Criminal Code, Protection of Public Order Act, and Maritime Code. Also, some sub-statutory acts have similar provisions which relate directly to the state and national symbols. Regarding the act regulating the national and state symbols, in this act there are provisions which summarize the description of the symbols. Then there are provisions which determine geometric, geographic, and color rules regarding the symbols, and also the text and notation of the anthem, including this controversial statement that the 7th stanza is actually the official anthem of the Republic of Slovenia. Also regulated by this act is flag of the Slovenian nation, as has been mentioned before, and it determines where and when the flag and the coat of arms shall and may be used, and it stipulates that when they are used with coat of arms or with flags of other states, they shall occupy the place of honor when placed or displayed alongside them. Also, this act prohibits and sanctions as minor offenses the use of the state and national symbols if they are damaged or their appearance is in a certain way unsuitable for use, and also the use in contravention of public order and in such a manner that the reputation of the Republic of Slovenia is damaged. The state and national symbols may not be protected or used as a trademark, model, or pattern, or used to label goods and services, which is rational, of course. Yeah. Regarding criminal law provisions, there are two criminal offenses. One is insult to the Republic of Slovenia. There is special references, explicit reference to the to the state and national symbols. Whoever publicly desecrated the flag, coat of arms, or national anthem of the Republic of Slovenia shall be punished by fine or sentence to imprisonment for not more than 1 year. Well, interestingly, official statistics for the last 10 years shows that the police investigated the suspicion of committing this crime on several occasions, but at the end of the day, no charges or final convictions followed. I searched the internet a little bit and found 2 outstanding cases. One was when a certain individual was protesting against the government policy. It was 15 years ago, maybe more. And he did it by burning the flag of the Republic of Slovenia. And the other case was in the time of the American President Bush. One individual painted swastika on the American flag and hoisted it on the fence of the American embassy in Ljubljana. But as I said, these cases had no judicial conclusion. Slovenian national flag does not seem to be covered with this provision, as you see. Only the state symbols of the Republic of Slovenia, which I considered as a serious flaw of our legal regulation of state and national symbols. If the above offense is committed by public notice, also the editor and the person editing or the person editing acting in his place shall be punished with the same sentence. And the other criminal offense is public incitement to hatred, violence, and intolerance. This provision determines different acts which constitute this criminal offense. And if these acts are committed by desecrating national or ethnic symbols, the perpetrator shall be punished by imprisonment for up to 3 years, meaning that this is actually delictum proprium of the basic version of this crime. Well, in order to understand these provisions, I think we should also consult commentary to the criminal code and also experts' comments on these provisions. I didn't contribute anything because this, since now, wasn't really my topic. Incriminated acts such as removal of a hoisted flag, destruction, damaging or painting a flag must be directed towards the object which is being implied by the state symbols, meaning it has to be directed towards the states itself. Only physically destroying state symbols or coat of arms or flag as tangible property is considered, according to the Protection of Public Order Act, a minor offense against the public order. And also in the commentary, we can read that sharp political or artistic criticism, which is expressed with such acts under certain conditions, not in every case, cannot be regarded as the criminal offense of desecration of Slovenian state symbols. And renowned constitutional law expert, my colleague Andras Teršek, claims that when it comes to such a conflict of constitutional values, great respect must be given to the special importance of freedom of speech and other forms of expression and to protection of saying truth to the power and criticizing the state. Namely, this is an attribute of open and truly democratic society, according to Teršek, and I don't have a problem to agree with him, actually. Regarding relevant provisions in minor offense law, I would just like to once again recall the act regulating Slovenian national and state symbols. There are minor offenses such as using the symbols which are damaged, using them in contravention of public order, or in such a manner that damages the reputation of the Republic of Slovenia, also using the symbols as trademarks, model of pattern, and also performing the anthem for purposes of market advertising or labeling services. There are also relevant provisions in the Protection of Public Order Act. According to this act, whoever in a public place intentionally burns or in some other way damages or destroys the flag of the Republic of Slovenia or its coat of arms, and also flag of European Union or flag of foreign country. This is important provision for the legal protection, minor offenses law, legal protection of the symbols of the national communities should be punished by fine. But this provision again does not explicitly protect the Slovenian national flag, which I again consider as a serious flaw of our legal regulation. I will be very quick regarding civil law provisions. General provisions on civil liability apply, meaning that if a person would commit a crime of insult to the Republic of Slovenia or public incitement to hatred, violence or intolerance by publicly desecrating the flag, coat of arms or national anthem, could encroach upon the reputation of the Republic of Slovenia and would be obliged to reimburse immaterial damage in this case. And these provisions, of course, also apply if a person would commit a minor offense. And at the end, I would like to briefly address relevant case law. Well, in Slovenia, there aren't very many court cases regarding the legal protection of state and national symbols. Therefore, I claim that this question, or the question regarding the nature, scope, and limits of constitutional and legal protection of state and national symbols has not yet been fully answered in Slovenia. Nevertheless, there are a few relevant decisions, two of the Constitutional Court. One relates to the review of several provisions of the act regulating state and national symbols. The issue was raised by among other, by the Slovenian National Party. And the question posed to the Constitutional Court was whether the Constitution allows the symbols of national communities, meaning Italian and Hungarian autochthonous national community, can be and may be identical to the symbols of their respective states. And if I will have time, I will address this. It's a very interesting issue, and I think a very, very comprehensive answer given by the Constitutional Court. I will address it in a few moments when I will address the protection of symbols of national communities. The other decision was also interesting by the Constitutional Court, although the court refused to take into the consideration the petition of a person who claimed that he has the right to listen to the anthem as stipulated by the Constitution. That means in its entirety, not in a shortened version which was stipulated by the statutory law. And as I said, this is still a controversial issue in Slovenia, but interestingly, Constitutional Court managed to avoid answering this question by saying that the petitioner didn't demonstrate the legal interest for his issue to be decided on merits. Regarding case law of the courts of general jurisdiction, there is I couldn't find any case which would relate to the valid national and state symbols, but there is a judgment of Supreme Court from March 2000 where the Supreme Court annulled the conviction of a defendant who filed an extraordinary legal remedy against the final decision of the Court of the Socialist Republic of Slovenia. He was convicted, the defendant was convicted because back in 1950 he mocked the Slovenian flag by carrying it to a road, dirtied it on the ground, and so on and so on. So this was the only case of this nature which I was able to find. Yes, excuse me, Zoltan, how much time do I have? Do I have 3 minutes? I do, thank you. Because I think this is interesting for our hosts, Hungarian colleagues, regarding legal protection of community symbols. As I said, I address the symbols of both autochthonous national communities, Italian and Hungarian. Both communities and their members are entitled to general constitutional rights and also special rights which belong only to them, and they are stipulated in an extensive Article 64 of the Constitution. And among these special rights there is also the right to freely use their national symbols, but that's all what is written in the Constitution. Then there are also some provisions related to the protection of related to the symbols of national communities in the Act regulating national and state symbols. There is actually a provision that the flag of the national community shall be used and the anthem shall be performed beside the Slovenian flag and anthem. And in the criminal code you can find the criminal offense of insult to the foreign country or international organization, and it stands there that whoever publicly desecrates the flag, coat of arms or national anthem of a foreign country shall be punished by a fine or sentenced to a prison for not more than 1 year. And as I somehow envisaged before, in practice the symbols of the Italian and Hungarian national community are the symbols of the Republic of Italy and the Republic of Hungary. And now I will skip all this, all the other provisions, minor offense provisions and civil provisions. I would just like to draw your attention to the aforementioned decision of the Constitutional Court. It's the only court decision which refers to the symbols of national communities. In this, as I said, the Constitutional Court in this decision reviewed several provisions of the Act regulating state and national symbols, and the petitioners, among them nationalists, the National Party, claimed that using the symbols of another state on the territory of the Republic of Slovenia represent an encroachment on the sovereignty of the Republic of Slovenia, and that the regulation which allows the symbols of the Italian and Hungarian national communities to be identical with the symbols of other sovereign states is unconstitutional. Well, essentially the Constitutional Court was asked to decide on whether the symbols of the national communities may be identical with the symbols of Italy and Hungary. Constitutional Court found that the nature and form of the symbols of both national communities are not regulated by statute, and also it ruled that finally it ruled that the challenge provisions are not unconstitutional. The court stated that while the Constitution does not prohibit the symbols of national communities to be identical with the state symbols of Italy and Hungary, they may on official occasions only be used together with the symbols of the Republic of Slovenia, and in such a manner that later have the priority. And according to the Constitutional Court, it was sufficiently enough. I mean, the Slovenian national and state symbols were protected sufficiently by such a regulation. So now, at the end of my presentation, I could also refer to the relevant constitutional and statutory provisions regarding religious communities. Here I would just like to emphasize that it's an extremely interesting issue in Slovenia, under-regulated, like in Croatia. We have these general provisions in the Constitution, in the law on religious freedom and so on right to freedom of consciousness, on the separation on the principle of separation of state and religious communities, but no provisions regarding use of religious symbols, including the presence of religious symbols in schools or in other public premises. But there were two important decisions taken by the Constitutional Court, where the Constitutional Court clarified that the positive aspect of religious freedom also include freedom of action in the form of the use of religious symbols in public sphere. But regarding their presence in the schools and other premises of public institutions, the Constitutional Court took a position that it would interfere with the principle of separation between the state and religious communities, and that it would interfere with the negative aspect of religious freedom. This was attacked by certain experts like Letnar-Černić, claiming that this kind of constitutional secularism represents a step beyond the principle of separation of state and religious communities, because it follows the French laïcité, which aims to complete exclusion of religion from public space. And according to Letnar-Černić, as such, it is not the right answer to solving the dilemma of the legal position of religion in the public sphere. And if you allow me, some of you will not like what I will say now. As an admirer of Friedrich Nietzsche, the great genius, I do prefer that in Slovenia, in public schools, walls are empty. Although I married a Christian woman who raised my children in Christian spirit. Thank you.